Hi, my name is Naomi. My students used to call me Dr. Hall. I was a science teacher, also an administrator for a little bit. I currently run a business for educators to help with stress and burnout. My favorite teachers growing up, I actually had two. They were Mr. Hansel and Mr. Flint, and they were my high school science teachers. And I became a science teacher mostly because of them and the passion that they had for teaching for their students and the way they invested in us and the time that they spent just investing in me as an individual and helping me choose my career path and helping me with that decision. I loved that they took time for us and that we were more than just students to them. So they were my favorite teachers.
Hello, teachers from around the world, and welcome to another episode of the Legendary Educator Podcast, the podcast for teachers for continuing professional development, where we discuss everything related to education. I'm your host, Mr. Ramos. As we approach the final stretch of the academic year, the days and weeks usually seem longer, and the finish line keeps getting farther and farther away. This final term of the academic year is always the toughest, and it's when all the stress of the year seems to accumulate. It's tough, I know. But it turns out there are effective ways to tackle your stress. That's right, you heard it here on Legendary Educator. There are effective ways to tackle your stress. And that's what we talk about on this week's episode. My guest this week is Dr. Naomi Hall, former teacher and founder of the Recovering Educator. She's been through it all, the politics, the drama, the ups and downs, and she uses her experiences and the lessons she's learned the hard way to help other teachers cope with their stress and have a well-balanced life. Yes, that is actually possible. If this is your first time tuning in, you're right on time because the conversation I had with Dr. Hall is extremely important and beneficial. You might pick up a few things to help you through the rest of the year. If you're a returning listener, I truly appreciate your support. Before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so you won't miss any of the extremely important episodes coming up in the next several weeks, as we wind down this first season of the Legendary Educator podcast, after which I've got some great things up my sleeve for the summer. I am excited about this episode, and I really do hope it helps out as many teachers as possible. It was truly inspirational speaking with this legendary educator. Dr. Hall, welcome. This is a pattern I've been seeing. As I'm asking more and more teachers who their favorite teacher was, it's usually the teacher who taught, what they're teaching right now. Mm-hmm. Right. So I spoke to my music teacher, and surprise, surprise, his favorite teacher was his music teacher. And yeah, it's a pattern I'm noticing. My favorite teacher was my history teacher. Mm-hmm. Of course, I became a history teacher. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
As usual, let's begin with your origin story. How did you become a teacher? And then how did you end your teaching career or retire from your teaching career and become a teacher coach?
Sure. I've kind of had an interesting journey through my career.
It usually
I started
is.
Teaching. Yeah, I started teaching right out of college. I actually graduated a semester early. I started substitute teaching that winter, went right into full-time teaching in the fall. I taught at a small Christian school, so I taught a lot. Science, math, computer,
wow,
junior high choir.
Really?
Yeah. Loved it. Taught there for about 9 years, I think it was. I was laid off due to budget cuts, which was quite a struggle for me because it was a time when budgets were cut everywhere. So it was really hard when you have a master's degree and 9 years of experience. So I had a detour and spent a year working in a pharmacy as a pharmacy tech, thinking maybe I might switch career paths. And that was a definite confirmation for me that pharmacy is not, not my path. I was like, no. So I got back into education and I worked as an assistant principal in a K-8 school, pre-K-8. So my span has been like pre-K to high school, because I was doing middle school and high school when I started. And I loved that, but just not the right fit for me. Very unhealthy uh,
Hmm.
situation. I did what I could, and I had to choose to leave, basically, which was rough.
Can I
And
ask
again,
you why you chose that?
I didn't really have many options of what else other positions I could work in that school.
Mm,
And the situation was very toxic. I was
mm, mm,
working under people who were undermining me,
mm.
and
Okay.
tried to address it, and go through the
Mhm.
proper channels and everything. And I knew that the situation wasn't going to change.
Sure.
So it was kind of a mirror them situation, and I was the newbie in
Yeah.
the school.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So I
pretty sure.
just
I'm pretty sure most teachers have sort of faced this, scenario
Mhm.
before. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So
Mm,
I just said I can't do this, and
mhm.
I chose to leave without having my next step ready,
Right.
which is a little scary. But I was able to find a job for the next fall, go back to teaching, back to my roots, and really find healing again,
Mm,
find a home, the respect, all of that, and grow again as an educator. I earned my doctorate in educational leadership during that time because I knew I wanted to continue to grow and to
mhm,
move and get into administration again, in a different situation. So that was it was just such a healing opportunity
mm,
there with the people that I was with and their support for me. I grew, I got my doctorate, I stepped up in leadership, but it just kind of came to the point where I couldn't go any farther. I could
mm,
only get so far. And I kept trying, and it just didn't work. I took some interim positions there, different things. So I looked other places, and for a few years, it took me a while. I looked for a few years, and I really just wanted. My aspirations were like assistant principal. I was like, all I want, like, I'm happy with that.
mm, mhm.
But curriculum coordinator positions started opening up, and I was like, there's a reason I didn't get my doctorate in curriculum instruction. But
Mm,
uh, I decided to go ahead and apply for them. And I got a position in a K-8 district as the district curriculum coordinator. And it actually was a fantastic change for me. It
mm,
was really good, helped me to grow in different ways and in leadership and that. And loved it, actually. I was kind of surprised. Working on, curriculum adoption, choosing a curriculum, all of that, getting to know all of the teachers and all of the subjects. I really, really enjoyed the position. But April came and my review came,
mm.
and the we're not renewing you
Oh
came.
no. Mm,
And I was like, pardon me?
mm,
Yeah, so it was totally out of the blue. Nothing had happened to cause it.
mm,
So I was like, okay. So I started looking again, trying to decide where I wanted to go. And when I had gotten this position, I knew, like, my plan was to be there for a while, but I
mm.
also knew there weren't a whole lot of other options for me to continue to move up because I'm smart enough to know that I don't want to be a superintendent.
Right.
Like,
Mm.
no, thank you. Uh, and there weren't many options beyond that other than assistant superintendent. And I was like, I don't know, not, and I don't know that I want that either. So I already had that in my mind of like, all right, I don't know what my next step is. And I'm one of those people that, like, the driven people that always have your next step, next goal, next
Right.
thing you're going to
Mhm.
achieve. And I was like, I don't know what that is. So when this happened, a friend called and she said, listen, if you start your business now, we'll support you. And I've had that in the back
Mm.
of my mind for a couple of years because it had taken
Okay.
me a while to find another position. And I was like, oh, I guess I need to take that seriously. And nothing really opened up. I wasn't able to get any interviews, anything. And so I was like, okay, well, what would I do for a business? I'm an educator. Like, that is who I am to the core. I took
Mhm.
my year out of education and it wasn't for me. So I started thinking about, I was like, the recovering educator, that is who I am. Like, I've had great highs in education, but I've
Mm.
had some really low lows in education as well. And I've been burnt out. And just the state of education right now, teachers, educators, administrators are just so stressed. So
Mm.
many are becoming burnt out. I was like, listen, I need to take what I've learned in caring for myself and working through being burnt by the politics of education a couple of times,
Hmm.
and being burnt out, having dealt with chronic illness myself while working, and take all those things and help educators so that they can find the resources and the answers and the support a whole lot faster than I did, and find it at a fraction of the price that I
Hmm.
did, because I had to go through so many different routes in that. And so I said, that's why I would start my business. And that's why it's called the Recovering Educator, is really, that's who I am. I'm a recovering educator. And I still, the practices that I share and teach educators, I still have to apply now as I run my own business and try to keep myself balanced and keep from burning out.
What is the focal point of your business or the service that you offer?
It boils down to stress management.
Okay. Well, then I guess let's talk about that.
Sure.
That's the
Um,
perfect topic. That's the perfect topic.
yeah.
I was a teacher for 10 years. I loved it. I was passionate. Actually, I would look forward to every day going into school. But at the same time, I was stressed out, right? At the end of
Mhm.
the day, I'm tired and my feet hurt and my head hurts. Everything hurts, right? I've got everybody after me, everybody, asking for deadlines, everybody asking for your paperwork. I've got the kids, I've got the parents, I've got this, right? So I guess in a nutshell, what I want to ask is what are the top causes of stress for teachers?
Top causes. Um,
The top.
like you listed so
we,
much there. Like
we could be
it
here all
is,
day. Yeah.
yeah, it is a hard job. It is a stressful job. And there's stuff coming at you from every direction.
Right.
And so I think the way I've come at it, because I'm one person.
Hmm.
I can't change the face of education.
Of course.
Like that's far bigger than me. But I think the piece that gets forgotten is that educators, and this is a problem within the world of education, and probably in other careers as well.
Hmm.
It's forgotten that educators are whole people. We're
Yes.
so much more than just a teacher. And so our stress is cumulative,
Mm.
not just our jobs.
Hmm.
Our jobs are hard. And there are other careers that are just as stressful. I think of like my mom was a nurse, and,
Hmm.
and the stress that she dealt with and came home with. So PD for educators, I guess this is what I'd like to change about education, is that PD is all about the curriculum and
Hmm.
the standards and all of that. Yet educators are highly, highly trained in what they do. They know curriculum.
Hmm.
They know how to deliver curriculum. They know how to select curriculum, and they know how to modify curriculum. But that's all that PD usually focuses on. And as I've gone out into my own and working in business, and that so many other fields focus on PD as personal development rather than just professional development. I think that's the piece that I try to focus on that
Hmm.
education kind of misses,
Hmm.
is educators are people with stressful lives,
Right.
with things going on in their lives that are adding to the stress and making their jobs even harder, because it all just compounds, especially
Hmm.
having come through really stressful times in our culture. All of that just adds up and it just makes it even harder. So I focus on those things of, you have a family and
Hmm.
that creates stress, and your health, whether you have it or don't, creates stress, and you have financial burdens
Hmm.
that create stress. So my goal is really, let's look at those pieces. Your mindset, our mindset is a huge piece on our stress, of how we handle the things that come at us and what's going on in our minds. And so I think for me, I'm not necessarily boiling it down to three for you, I guess, but my focus really is, let's take care of those pieces and get those in order. Let's work on your mindset and how you're handling the things that come at you and how you're thinking and what you're feeding your mind,
Hmm.
so that when you walk through those doors, you're a whole person ready to take on the stress that comes at you in the classroom, in the halls, from your administrators. Because if this out here is
Hmm.
insane, this coming at you when you go through the doors of your job is just going to blow it up, and you're going to struggle to handle that. So that's really what I think educators need, is the help with the rest of life too, because it all adds up.
Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast episode. Being a teacher is tough. Sure, it's one of the most rewarding jobs you could possibly have, but more often than not, you're overworked, underpaid, not to mention the stress and pressure coming at you from every direction. From keeping your students on track, satisfying the administration with your performance, and of course parents telling you that you need to pay more attention to their kid, because you don't have 20 other kids in your class. Sometimes you just need to turn it all off and talk to someone, don't you? Well, let me introduce you to BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Use the link betterhelp.com/legendaryeducator to get 10% off your first month of therapy. That's betterhelp.com/legendaryeducator. Check out BetterHelp today. You deserve it. Yeah, I love how you're putting this. So when we talk about a student, we always say, the student has a home and a family, maybe a conflict at home that's causing this, or stress at home that's causing that. And the focus is on the student. But at the same time, the teacher as well is a human being with blocks, right? The stress at home, or the kids, or the spouse, or the taxes, or right, or the mortgage, right? Or
student loans.
Right, or the ailing parent, or a million different things that they could be sort of, in the stress bucket. And I find that administration doesn't really notice that. The parents don't really notice that. And of course, the students are just oblivious of that, and as they should be, right? I mean, exactly. It's not their job to be, mindful of the teacher's social life or right, or family conflict. But I love how you're putting that. It's very true that a teacher is a human with complex emotions, as well as they should have complex emotions like every other human being. And the focus is on the classroom and the delivery of the topic and the deadlines and the standards. I love that. Yeah. All right. So what is your approach? Like, how do you take somebody's hand and say, okay, let's, sit down and get your life figured out?
So on a bigger scale, I offer the workshops on those topics of all right, let's look at how you can prioritize your family when life is chaotic, work is chaotic, and kind of give you those tips of meal planning, planning family time, all of that, prioritizing that so that your family doesn't get put on the back burner.
Right.
But then one-on-one, when I do my one-on-one coaching, we look at what are your major stressors, kind of dig down of I can give you these tips and anybody can take the tips. I'm not really giving you anything earth shattering, not anything that you probably haven't heard before. But the catch is that you often need help turning those into habits. That's the piece. And I picked this up from, I believe it's John Finn, the habit mechanic. We don't do what we know we should do.
Of course.
We do what is habitual. And so we're kind of stuck in what we've always done. And so I work with you one-on-one to say, all right, so what have you always done? Why is it not working? And what do we need to do to get you where you want to be? And so really focus on your specific areas of stress, whether it's finances, whether it's, health, whether it's the mental part of it. The mental part is almost always there of we need to work on the voice in our head because most of us have a very negative voice in our head. We have 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and the majority of them are negative. So really fighting that mental battle. So that's what I do in the one-on-one is I take you through and we just look at, all right, what can we work on this week that's going to take you one step closer to having that stress a little bit lower? What can we do this week to change that? What can we do for your mindset? What tools can we implement? And I check in on you and say, all right, how's it going? Whether it's I have a client using time blocking right now. She's using the time blocking in her class, but she's also using it in her daily schedule to figure out, all right, where and when am I going to do these things? And where am I going to schedule that white space time where I have nothing planned, nothing scheduled, nothing that I have to do? I can just do what fills me up
Hmm.
because we forget to put that time in.
I was going to say, does that actually exist?
You have to plan
The
it.
white space. I mean,
Mhm.
that's just, it's a myth, isn't it?
Uh, it is, but you can find it. And that's part of what I do is helping you find and create that white space because you have to have it. If you
Hmm.
don't have it, that's when you become burnt out. And so we have to find some during the day. You really need some during the week, some during the month, and you have to plan it. Otherwise it doesn't happen. And I can tell you the difference in having it. I can just tell you a story for me
Please.
personally.
Hmm.
Um, I've worked really hard at this for a while. And so I think it was this fall, driving to church on a Sunday morning. I'm supposed to teach, I think, and I hit something on the road. I heard it, didn't see it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I didn't see anything come flying out, whatever. I keep
Hmm.
driving. I get on the highway. A car is passing me. I was like, oh my goodness, that car sounds like an airplane. And then I realized it's my car. I had a flat tire.
Oh no. Hmm.
So then I'm like, okay, so where I was on this highway, like it comes to a T. So I was like, can I make it to the end? Do I have to? I was
Hmm.
like, oh no, I have to take the next exit. It took the next exit, which like landed me squarely in nowhere. Um, like there's population in both directions, but I was in the
Hmm.
section that like had absolutely nothing. I'm dressed for church, dress, heels. I'm like, oh, all right. So I get out of my car. My brother is a road mechanic, so he drives this big truck. I'm like, hey, so where are you this morning? He's like headed to a job. I'm like, I can do this. Thankfully, I had thrown flip flops in my car, so popped off the heels, threw on the flip flops, and police comes up like, do you need help? I'm like, well, actually, yeah, I have a flat. And so he
Hmm.
pulls around, then he gets out of the car and tells me he can't help me, but he can sit there with his lights on.
Oh, really? That's nice. Thanks. Yeah.
Yep, that was
Hmm.
that was very helpful.
Hmm.
My brother was on speakerphone at the time and heard the whole thing. He's not
Hmm.
very pleased. So I'm like, all right, pull up my manual. And then he comes back and he's like, I'm sorry, I have to leave. Here's the number of the tow company that the department works with. And I was like,
Wow.
this is awesome. So, just to finish the story, I end up changing my own tire, get it figured out. I'm at a point right now where I have enough white space in my life that I can think through this. And like I called
Hmm.
my mom, like, hey, can you let them know I'm not going to make it? Got a flat tire, need to take care of it, and did. There have been other times in my life when I don't have the white space, I have not had the capacity, and I would have been a puddle on the side of the road.
Hmm.
So like it's that kind of difference when you've done the work to create that space for yourself to be able to process and deal with the stuff that happens in life because it happens. We get flat tires. And I happen to be at the place where I was like, all right, I'll figure it out. And if I can't change it myself, I'll find somebody else to call,
Hmm.
that kind
Hmm.
of thing. I think I do have roadside assistance with my insurance. It just didn't cross my mind at the time because I was just like, I can
Hmm.
follow instructions. If I can't get the lug nuts off, well, we'll figure something else out.
Right.
So that's the difference that like having that white space makes. It gives you that ability to be like, okay, problems here.
Hmm.
How do we handle it? Rather than being like, just a puddle of tears.
A clarity.
Yeah.
What is the difference between your service, your coaching service, and say therapy? Because you're not a therapist. That's why I'm saying,
Yep.
I mean, I'm not calling your coaching therapy, but what are the fundamental differences?
I'm not diagnosing you with
Hmm.
anything.
Hmm.
I am not giving you a treatment plan. I think that a lot of us do need therapy
Hmm.
and counseling and really should. And that that may be one of my recommendations in coaching is, you probably should consider
Mm.
coaching, counseling or therapy. I'm going to work on the practical side of things with you is
Right,
really where I'm at because
right.
I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just working through the practical aspects of life with you of
Hmm.
let's work on a positive mindset. Let's work on getting your finances back in balance so that they're
Mm.
not stressing you out as you're living paycheck to paycheck every 2 weeks. Let's look at your health and the practical steps that you can take to improve your health. So that's really the difference. I'm not diagnosing you.
No, right.
I'm not giving you a treatment plan. I'm really working through life with you and helping you find that balance in life again.
And so you're taking their daily habits,
Mhm,
routines, as you said, the practical side
mhm.
of their day to day,
Yes.
and finding things that are going to reduce, their stress levels. Okay. I mean, if therapy is a part of it, then
Mhm.
it's a part of it. So what are Let me get something out of you. You know, it's no secret that teachers spend on classroom supplies out of their own pockets. Whiteboard markers, crayons, coloring pencils, sometimes even furniture for their classrooms. So it's only logical that teachers would want the best deals for their school supplies. I found this website that sells literally everything a teacher would need to fill their classrooms, for all grade levels. Discount School Supply offers the best variety of school supplies, arts and craft supplies, teaching resources, educational-based toys and games, and learning tools for children, parents, and teachers. With a collection of thousands of arts and crafts materials, education toys, and dramatic play toys, the Discount School Supply website and catalog are sure to have something for infants and toddlers, as well as children in daycares, kindergarten, or preschool. Teachers and parents say the company offers great quality at a great price. Other benefits include free shipping on stock orders over $99, same-day shipping, 110% lowest price guarantee, plus web-only promotions. And they even have a clearance page for even more savings. Discount School Supply is America's one-stop shop for everything a teacher would ever need throughout the year. Check it out to see if you qualify for free shipping. Please use the affiliate link to support the channel. You can find it in the show notes or at legendaryeducator.com/resources. Discount School Supply, always low prices, always 110% guaranteed. Three tips for a stress-free teacher life.
So my number one stress management tool is breathing. It is my go-to. It is my, I just naturally do it now. So the simplest step with breathing is to just focus on your breathing and do some deep breaths, just in through the nose, out through the mouth. And what it does is it takes you from your survival brain, because when we're stressed, we're we're escalated, we're in our survival
fight or
brain. Yeah. And we don't think well, we don't problem solve well. Our heart rate is escalated, we're breathing faster. We know the feeling.
That was me literally from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Just my pupils dilated, always in fight or flight mode because you never know, a student's going to creep up on you and say, hey, this, or the principal's walk in the corridor and, hey, knock, knock, what are you up to?
Yep, absolutely. You're sweating.
Yes, always.
Yep, always. Yeah, so that's the simplest one. I take people through, I do them in my workshops regularly, is taking people through a couple different breathing techniques that just help bring you back down to your thinking brain. So that's my number one, is breathing. I actually have, I have a freebie on my social media. If you click the link on there, it's six free breathing apps that take you through guided breathing. And
I'll get your links in a second, by the way.
Yeah, I've tested them all to make sure that they're actually free, because nothing irritates me more than a free app that I can't access anything. So breathing is number one. Number two is negativity, and ditching the negativity. Turn off the news. I can tell you, I don't listen to the news. I don't watch the news. I have stopped listening to news podcasts because we know if it bleeds, it leads. And so there's nothing positive for the most part in news. And I can promise you, you will still know what is going on in the world, because people around you will tell you. So if I need to know something, I will find out. I'll hear from somebody and I'll look it up. But I don't access news at all. That's a big piece of removing the negativity from your life. And then with that is controlling your social media. And you can curate your social media. You can make it what you want it to be. And so bless and block people. There are people you do not need to see, and you just say, I don't need it. And if it's family and you can't get rid of them, you can hide or mute them. So that you're not seeing what they're posting. So, and then you can make sure that you're bringing in the people that you want to see, that are building you up, that are filling you, that are posting things that bring joy and fulfillment to you. So really curating that social media. And then number three is the physical aspect of all of it. And I think we downplay the importance of the physical because we don't have time. When in reality, if we spend some time on our physical health, it gives us the energy and the strength to do the stuff that we need to do. So moving your body, fueling it, which I know like sugar and caffeine are not the two food groups. But I know so many teachers
What?
run, right?
Really? Yeah.
So fueling your body, moving your body, sleeping.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
I know, I know. And so those are like simple things, but
Yeah.
so big and so hard to change.
Hmm.
Studies show that the most successful people, like you think Tiger Woods level, Michael Phelps level, any field. I mean, I just gave two sports
Hmm.
ones, but top of any field, the most successful people, they're getting 8 hours of sleep a night. And I'm like, well, I want to be successful, so I need to work on this.
I just saw this today actually on a social media post. What's his face? Jeff Bezos, 8 hours a
Hmm.
day. 8 hours.
Yeah. Yep.
When do you find the time?
Yep. But the thing is, those 8 hours, so there's a couple things. Getting that 8 hours of sleep a night gives you more time during your day, more
Hmm.
focused, productive time.
Hmm.
Exercising does the same thing. It's a super
Hmm.
habit, basically. Working out 30 minutes a day, that gives you an extra hour in your day of focus and productivity.
Hmm.
So we look at it as, oh, it's going to take a half
It's
hour out of
time.
my day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that
Hmm.
half hour gives you more time.
Hmm.
So it's that mindset shift that you have to go through of like, all right, I'm actually going to gain by sleeping more. I'm actually going to gain by moving my body. And so those are some of the key things that I work on with people. The cognitive difference between someone who gets 7 hours of sleep versus 8 hours of sleep is comparable to drinking alcohol, the decline in IQ in just 1 hour difference in sleep.
Wow.
So I'm like, I can't afford to lose my IQ because I didn't sleep. And you're like, oh my goodness, yeah, the nights that I don't sleep the next day, like I am not functioning on all.
Nights. How about every night? I used to get 5 hours of sleep a night. Of course, coffee, and I mean coffee is my best friend,
Yep.
lots of sugar, no exercise. But I mean, I was on my feet all day. So is that considered movement? No, right?
No.
A lot
I
of
mean, it
steps.
does give you overall steps, but you still need to get like that focus movement of either like getting
Hmm.
out for a walk, taking a run, lifting weights,
Okay.
um, something where it's just focused, active movement for your body.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
As always, I end with, if you were to meet a teacher going into the class for the first time next semester, what is your advice to them?
Oh, so many things I would tell them.
Hmm.
One is take care of yourself.
Hmm.
You like I just said, you have got to get your sleep. I mean, I pulled the like I did the first year up till 1 a.m. I was also in my 20s.
Hmm.
Like now I'm like, there ain't no way that's happening now. Um, but take care of yourself. Make sure that you're eating right, make sure that you're sleeping,
Hmm.
make sure that you are managing stress outside of school. And remember that behaviors, whether it's your boss, your students, or parents, kind of like we talked about,
Hmm.
there's more to it than you. Like you are receiving the behavior or you're receiving the attitude, but it's probably not you. Like,
Hmm.
don't take it personally, especially with the kids,
Hmm.
especially with the kids. Um, there's so much more to their behaviors than I asked them to pick up a pencil and they lost it on me.
Hmm.
I wish I had learned that a little sooner. Give the kids some grace. They blew up when you asked them to pick up the pencil, but you know what? Something happened at home this morning.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
happened
Yeah. Yeah.
last class. Something
Hmm.
else is going on. So let's give them a little grace and ask more questions rather than
Hmm.
getting upset over the behavior. Let's find out what's causing that behavior.
Right. Right. That is fantastic. I thank you immensely for your time. I think this is my new favorite episode.
Awesome.
Uh, I mean, what we talked about, I wish I had actually heard this when I was a teacher, because you're saying exactly the opposite of my lifestyle at the time. And still, I still don't sleep because I have too much to do. I still don't eat well. I still don't exercise, but bad habits are easy to form.
Yes. Yes.
And that is a crisis in our lives, because bad habits are so easy to form and so hard to break. And I'm going to assume good habits are just as easy to form, but you just have to choose them.
Yeah. So can I give you a couple recommendations for books?
Oh, right. So yes, let's end with this. I mean, if somebody wants to reach out to you
Mhm.
or to get in touch with you to have a conversation with you, where would they go?
Social media, just look for the Recovering Educator. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, not YouTube as much. So
Hmm.
mostly Instagram and Facebook. And then my email is one word, the Recovering Educator recoveringeducator@gmail.com.
Is there a website?
therecoveringeducator.com.
Okay, I'm gonna have all the links in the show notes so that if somebody wants to check you out, and I do recommend they check you out, because again, I wish I had this conversation with you 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the book recommendations.
So since we were talking about habits, one is, I actually have it sitting next to me, this was so good. And I don't know why it took so long to read it. Atomic Habits by James Clear. So good, so practical about making tiny changes that get you big results. And then I mentioned earlier, John Thin, The Habit Mechanic. He has a podcast. He has a book. He is like a guru when it comes to habit formation. And like I said, it's about the habits, breaking habits and forming new ones. So those two books are incredible when it comes to that. Both very, very practical, and both have websites that give you all kinds of resources.
That is fantastic. I mean, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for this opportunity to actually talk to you and to get all this value out of a short conversation. This is phenomenal.
Thank you for having me. It's great.
Of course, absolutely. Let's keep in touch, and we will talk again.
All right. Thank you.
Let me know what you thought about today's episode by leaving your comments, questions, or complaints in the Legendary Educator Facebook group. You'll find the link in the show notes, or you can find it by searching for Legendary Educator FB group on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram at Legendary Educator, or you can get in touch with me at legendaryeducator.com. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, because that actually helps a lot. All right, next week we'll have another legendary episode with a different legendary educator. Class is dismissed.